Welcome back to Behind the Print podcast, where we feature industry leaders and uncover the creative minds and their businesses within the world of professional printing. Our mission is to provide you with inspiring, actionable resources that elevate your business projects and accelerate your journey to excellence in profit and print. Today's episode is Parenting Beyond the Screen, combining print and digital for real results. And I'm here today with a 30-year teacher, 20-year mom, author, and coach. She is a true kid whisperer, you guys, who spent more than 65,000 hours with children, earning her expert status. Introducing Converlation Incorporated President, co-founder, Kathy Van Benthuysen.
Thank you for having me. And you said my last name perfectly.
Well, how's your day today?
My day is excellent so far. Thank you. And yours?
Very well, very well. Good to meet you.
You also.
So I see you were a teacher for about 30 years. What inspired you to retire early with Converlation?
So I'll tell you a story because I love stories. So the reason why was because one of the things that I did, Zoe, every single day of my career is I would greet the kids at the door and I would say, "Good morning, Zoe. How are you doing today?" And I would expect two things, eye contact and a response. And in my first year teaching, back in 1992, every single student on the first day of school was able to look me in the eye and respond. Fast forward to my last year, 2021. One student on the first day of school was able to look me in the eye and respond. And it was December, and I'm still reminding kids, you need to look me in the eye, you need to respond. And I know that there can be, different factors that contributed to this, but I think a main one is technology. Kids have gotten so used to having their heads down in devices, and we normalize it. We say, oh, that's just how kids are. But it wasn't 30 years ago. They were able to. So it's not that children have changed that much. It's that what has come around them and what they're being exposed to has changed how they interact. And when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, I cannot sit back. I know that 30 years is a long time, and I know it impacted a lot of kids, but I couldn't sit back and say, I didn't do anything about this. I didn't try to make a difference. So I did. I retired 5 years early, and I actually just became a retirement age, like not even a month ago. So, I want to make a bigger difference in kids' lives. And that's what I believe that we're doing through Converlation.
Wow, that is just so, what a unique perspective. I have never heard of teachers talk of this or speak on this topic before in such depth and perspective. Who, so going into Converlation, who does Converlation serve?
So Converlation serves, we have like two avenues, I would say. So one, we're in schools, and schools see the ramifications of kids' use of social media, gaming, endless videos, because they see kids who lack focus, can't pay attention, their academic performance is lower. There's more cyberbullying in schools, like they're seeing these things in schools. So schools say, oh my gosh, you have something that helps to counter the negative side effects and unintended consequences of technology. Sign us up. I have to show you. So this, printed by Printing Center USA, is our 5th grade curriculum. This is our 6th grade curriculum. This is our 7th grade curriculum. Look how shiny and nice you guys. You guys do such a good job. And this is our 8th grade curriculum. And what we have is we have something in schools for 5th through 8th grade, and it helps kids to have a healthy relationship with technology. We also are launching next week something for parents, because we find parents say, well, my child's school isn't doing this. And okay, we understand that. So what we want to do is come alongside parents and give them the knowledge and educate them about technology, like you know how what's posted on social media is not reality, but highlight reels, what dopamine is and how it's created. We go into anxiety and depression and the root causes of it. We teach about how what you post online, especially if it's not appropriate, can have consequences, like long-term consequences. And so what we do is we educate parents. We have a book club. I don't know if you've heard of this book, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. And we're actually, one of the things that we do is we go through chapters in this book to help parents. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think people aren't reading this book. It's an excellent book and they should read it, but I think people buy it and then have it sit on their nightstand and they don't know what's inside of here. So what we do is we have a book club. We also have something, we call it Converlate with Kathy. And it's where I go through questions and I, answer helping with parenting in this digital tech driven age. I go through, in the news, like what are some things that you guys need to know as parents? And we have things for parents so that they can raise a child who has a healthy relationship with technology. And honestly, Zoe, it really does start with the parents because parents have, they are the ones who gave them this device. So they need to be like, oh, okay, so what can I do? And I think it's fun, it's engaging, but at the same time, it's something that's so necessary in this day and age.
I completely agree with you. And I kind of think it is interesting how the kids they just get so addicted to their devices and the parents don't necessarily see it's happening until it's a problem.
Mhm.
So, do you think bringing parents into that group of empowerment helps you stand out in your business field?
So when I post on LinkedIn all the time and people say, "Oh my gosh, Kathy, we don't know anyone who's doing this." And our community is, the Converlation mastermind for parents because parents need to have the tools. They need to have the strategies. And I like honestly, I don't see other people doing this, but I think a part of it is that community because we all want to know that I'm not the only one experiencing this. I'm not the only one who's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that my kid is now addicted to posting TikTok videos or I can't get them to, get off Minecraft. They want to play on it all night." And we tend as parents, we say, okay, like I want the best for my kid. I want them to have more than me. I want them to have a great life. But in order to have a productive, great life, technology is not going to be what makes their life amazing because we're still human. We still need to be able to interact with each other. And that's actually like our name, Converlation, how it came about was parents and kids who had gone through our, like our program, they never talked about the individual activities, experiences. Every person would talk about we have better conversations and our relationships are stronger. And one day we were playing with words and we're like, oh my gosh, if we take the S out of conversation and put an L, it's conversation, conversations, having conversations, strengthening relationships. And like when we say conversation, people, I would say at least 50% of the people can figure it out. They're like, oh, and that's like our goal in everything is to generate a conversation because that's what we need to be able to do is have conversations when I'm having a conversation with you now, Zoe, and I did ask you your age before because I was like, wow, she can like look me in the eye and have a conversation. And you stand out by being able to do that. Not every 23-year-old that I know can have a conversation like you. And I understand you're doing a podcast and maybe that's part of your job, but you're put there because your capability of being able to have conversations with people. And that's, what you're doing shouldn't be outside the norm, but it is outside the norm in today's day and age.
I agree. I see people who are my age and they not only can't talk to you, but they can't talk to me. They're almost stunned in their own nature of technology. And thinking of technology in the future, if you had like a crystal ball, what do you think the future of technology and family relationships look like?
If if we continue down this path, I don't see I don't see it to be fantastic because we're made for relationships. We're still human. No matter, someone said to me, "Oh my gosh, we have so much technology. We're so much smarter." And I said, "But we're not. We're not as humans. We are still only capable of so much, absorbing so much information. And what we've done is we have provided access to real time information that, especially for kids, they're not able to handle. And we're kind of warping childhood because the way childhood is supposed to be is you're supposed to go through developmental stages. You sit first and then you crawl and then you walk and then you run. And but for kids now with technology, they're being exposed to things that their little 8-year-old minds, 9-year-old minds are not capable of understanding. And so now they're thinking, oh, well, then this is how relationships are. We don't talk to people, we just text. We sit shoulder to shoulder after practice, but no one has a conversation. We just text each other. And if we take away the devices, and I'm not saying, like, you will never hear me say technology is bad, stop using it, because that's not what we never purport that. What we say is we want to learn to come live alongside it. And one of the ways that we do is by educating parents and kids. And when kids realize what's happening to them, like, oh my gosh, I'm being tracked and manipulated by attention engineers who are on the other side of the screen, watching and tracking my every move. I mean, come on, Zoe, how many times do you say, oh man, it'd be really cool to get some pizza? And then all of a sudden you get these ads about pizza wherever you live, pizza, pizza. And you're like, wait, how is that? It's because it's listening to us. And I'm finding that once you educate the kids and expose them to what's happening, then they can come to their own conclusions about technology. Like, oh, I get what you're saying. Because if we come at them like, tech is bad, stop using it, put it away, kids are going to be like, la, 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 la. I can't hear you. But if we say, hey, like, we get it, we get what's happening here, this is how you can use your device as a tool, not merely entertainment. And when kids can, maybe during dinner time, instead of everyone on a device, you guys put the devices on a counter and have a meal together where you're having conversations. And at first, Zoe, it could totally be awkward, especially if people aren't used to it. But the more that you do that, guess what? You will start having conversations. You just have to get past that awkward, like, oh, I don't know. What do we talk about? Let's just twiddle our thumbs. It's like, no, it will get better, I promise.
So then do you think after the families kind of step into their roles and create trust between each other and start encouraging each other that the solutions by Converlation is just embraced?
That's the goal, is that when people realize that, because I always say, you know what, you don't have to come at your kids like combatively. It's because I love you, because I care about you, because I want you to have an amazing life. And when kids realize that you're coming at it from a point of care and concern, not a battle, that's when they can kind of come on board. Because we know that this, like, we say conversation is for anyone from, for parents of kids from, say, 2 to 18. Because if you have a 2-year-old, Lord willing, they're not on a device, but you need to learn, what do you need to do when they're 6 and 7 and 8 or when they're 13 and everyone else is pressuring, oh, you got to get on social media, you got to get on Snapchat, you got to get on Insta. You need to know what the mechanisms behind technology and what's happening so that you can make a solid decision. And if you already have teens that are like in the midst of this, we come alongside to help you to educate your teens, because that's just, it's like anything, you don't know what you don't know. So I actually just did an episode of the book club, and one of the women said, well, it's like teens are like, oh yeah, it's not going to happen to me, oh, I'm not going to get addicted, and yet they are. And it's once they realize, like, oh, you know what, now that I haven't been bringing my phone in the bedroom at night and I've been leaving it to charge on the counter, I've been sleeping better. I'm not having as much anxiety because I'm not waking up in the middle of the night going, how many text messages have I missed? Who is trying to first of all, why is anyone contacting each other at 3 a.m? I have no idea. Just get sleep. And once kids realize, like, oh, this isn't so bad, they'll come on board.
So it's kind of more education based. Like once they realize, oh, okay, I can make this smart decision for myself, then they're like, oh,
Yes.
I'm having such a better time now.
Yes, yes, yes. It's that realization, like, oh, you know what? Because I highly doubt they're going to be like, you know what, mom and dad, you were right. You were right. You know what? Thank you for, limiting my screen time and device time. They're not going to say that, but when they feel better about it, they're going to be like, oh. And maybe when they're like 30, they'll tell them.
Yeah, they'll look back and be like, oh, thanks for that extra couple hours of sleep every night, mom and dad. I would have been up texting all night long. So I have a question. How do you use design, whether visual branding, print materials, digital content? How do you use it to make your message more engaging and inspire meaningful conversations?
So I have to tell you, I love books. I love hard copy stuff. It's just there's just something about it. And one of the things that we have found, especially with excuse me, the curriculum in schools. And so what happens is, so this is the guide that the teachers can go through with the kids. And then the kids get the same exact copy and they bring it home so they can do it with their parents. And they get to see. So I'll show you. So here's one of our things. Look how good this looks, Zoe. This is you guys. So
Thank you.
there's space, like it's all laid out so nicely, and there's a spot for them to be able to write things down, and they don't have to, but it's that putting, pen to paper, and there's something like it feels different when you can have something in front of you. And we totally understand that people do stuff on their devices all the time, so we are delivering it via, technology. But when in schools, they have an opportunity to bring this home and hold it in front of them. And I don't know, it's like there's something exciting to be like, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, and then you start flipping to the next page. Oh, what's the next activity that we're going to do? And it creates that excitement of actually having a hard copy instead of everything that's on a phone.
Kind of pulls them away from all this digital nonsense of what they see all day and gives
Mhm.
them an opportunity to share a little bit and share about themselves in
Mhm.
print. I really
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
So, if you could go back to your first day of teaching when you first started greeting the children and looking at them in the eye and seeing what they could do, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know today?
I think I would I think I would tell myself, hey, in 30 years, this is going to be completely different, and don't be saddened by it, because you'll be able to move on to Converlation and make a different impact. Because I think if I look back and if it just was year one and then year two was like what I experienced in year 30, I would have been like, oh no, this is terrible. But it happened so slowly that, yeah, I would be like, don't be sad. It's going to be okay.
Be okay. Don't forget. It's gonna
Yeah.
be okay. What major milestones have defined Converlation?
So I would say um, we have, I think what we have for schools that has been, it's been really cool to see the evolution of it. Originally, we had, just, we just said this could be for, anyone in fifth through eighth grade. And then as schools started using it and then re-upping the next year and saying, oh, we want to do this again, we're like, oh, wait, we need to have some more stuff so that the kids aren't seeing the same thing. So then we developed a second, we had like a fifth and sixth, and then a seventh and eighth. And then schools re-upped it again. And we're like, oh, now we need to have something different again because the fifth graders become the sixth graders and they need new material. So that's been really neat for us to see the evolution of our curriculum. And here I'm going to nerd out on you a little bit. I'm going to geek out on you because our our program, so it actually aligns with the New Jersey student learning standards under the comprehensive health and physical education and the computer science and design thinking and the Castle framework. And anyone in education would be like, oh, that's kind of cool because it falls under SEL. And again, anyone in education would be like, oh, that's kind of neat. And we have, people on our board who have helped us to make sure that this aligns with those standards so that when this is brought into a school, schools aren't like, oh, it's just something else for us to do. It's like, no, I'm telling you, I know that this works. And especially as we have schools continue to re-up it, that might be my second thing is that I love that where schools are re-upping it for the second, the third year, and next year is going to be the fourth year.
Exciting. So, on the flip side, what challenges are holding you or your business back right now?
So I would say the biggest thing, Zoe, is having people hear about it. So people are like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I've never heard about Converlation. And I'm like, ah. So my business partner's name is John, and he and I have, I'm going to say avoided social media all our lives. And I have been on LinkedIn now, and it's been for a year now, and just telling about Converlation, not selling anyone anything, just telling people about Converlation and what it is. And now people are like, oh my gosh, you should talk to Kathy. Your kid's having trouble with technology. You should talk to Kathy. And I'm like, yay. So it's getting the message out there where people hear it, understand it, and then feel empowered to do something about it because we're not judging parents. Like, I get it. It's hard. Like, this is a whole new world, excuse me, of parenting, and the digital age is literally a whole new world. We've never experienced it before. So there's no judgment. It's, you know what, mom and dad, we will come alongside and help you. Schools, we have something for you to help to have kids who are more focused and who are doing better academically.
Right, right. So, do you think LinkedIn is your most pivotal social media standpoint?
I don't know if I could say definitively yes, because we are going to be going on, well, we are on Facebook and Instagram and putting out ads so that, we can get the message out. And we're also going to be going up on YouTube. So I could probably answer that more definitively in 6 months, and let's see how the other platforms pan out.
Right, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. So, how do you balance wearing multiple hats like marketing, finance, customer service in your business?
So we have amazing people that help us. I find coming from education, I'm like, wow, like this business, having your own business is a completely different world. I mean, I came from the world of, 504s and IEPs and PDPs, and now I'm like, okay, what a B2B? a B2C, like what? And but we have some amazing people. We have our designer who does all of this. And I'll give her a little shout out, My Two Cents Design. She's amazing. We have people that some work remotely for us, doing like social media for us and doing outreach to schools. But we still have to, that whole, we still have to make sure that we're doing marketing stuff and we're doing sales. And so it's a lot, but in a fun way.
It's exciting. If you had unlimited resources for a year, what bold dream or project would you take on for Converlation?
Okay, so I would say unlimited resources. Well, we would both. I would say my partner and I would love to develop Converlation for business where we can, and it's on like the back burner, right? Because we can't do everything. So we're gonna do schools and families. But Zoe, I can't even tell you how many people say to us, "Do you have something for businesses?" We literally just had this conversation yesterday with someone. Do you have Converlation for business? And we're like, that's we would love to be able to do that. And if we had unlimited resources, we would hire people to help us develop that. But that'll be right now because we don't have unlimited resources. That'll have to be down the road.
So hopefully we can see that from you guys in the future.
Yes, we would both love that.
So what's the most rewarding success story you've heard from somebody who's used Converlation?
Would say we had a school recently. Um, she had done it. She was the when schools do it, we often, and it's not always, but we find that it's great when there's a one or two people who are like the like raving fan of Converlation, and then so I would train them, and then they deliver Converlation to all of fifth grade, all of sixth grade, and a school recently had the computer teacher. We trained her, and so she delivered Converlation to fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, and she had them do posters and she shared the fifth grade posters with me. She said she'll share the other ones probably in the new year. But when I saw what the kids put on the posters, it is literally exactly what I would want them to come away with. And we were looking at them yesterday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we wanted. That's the message that we wanted them to get. Like highlight reels, that's not real. It is so amazing. These are fifth graders, so they're 10 going on 11. They did a fantastic job. And I'm like, they got it. They got the message. They got about highlight reels aren't reality. Oh, they understand that conversations doing a conversation with this is not having a conversation. A conversation is us looking each other in the eye. And if we can't, then at least pick up the phone and call the person as opposed to a text. I don't know. You could say something and I might take it the wrong way. That's not a conversation, but the kids got it. They were like, oh, don't don't just text, pick up the phone and call. And I'm like, yes. So for me, it literally just happened yesterday. I was so excited to see this school send us this stuff and say, they're getting it. They're understanding it.
That's an exciting milestone to hear from just one school because you never know, a couple years down the line, you'll be in every school.
I know, Zoe, from your lips to God's ears. Yes.
So if you had a day completely free to spend however you'd like, what would you be doing?
Oh, I don't have to think about it. The beach. The beach. Zoe, the beach is the best place in the entire world. And the only thing is, though, God would have to make it have perfect waves for me because I do boogie boarding. And so, and my husband and son do hand planing. It's like body surfing, but with almost like a little surfboard on their hand. And so that's what I would want. The perfect day would be not too hot, but the water's warm enough where so I can boogie board. My husband and son can go hand planing and um, just chilling at the beach. That's the perfect day.
That's the dream. Can't beat it.
And I do have to say, I do live like 4 minutes from the beach, so it's not like I can't. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say that? Yeah, I do. I live 4 minutes from the beach, so I do get to the beach often.
I'm gonna have to come visit you.
You can, but and we'll make sure it's a nice day.
Right. So how can our listeners get in touch with you or learn more about Converlation?
So they can, or thank you for asking. Listeners can go on to converlation.com, which is our website, or they can reach out to me, Kathy at converlation.com. That's my email, and Kathy is with a K. And or you can even, find me on LinkedIn, Kathy Van Benthuysen on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Instagram is Converlate. And on Facebook, it's Converlation. So, but I would say the easiest probably would be visit our website or just email me directly.
So you guys heard her. Shoot her an email or check out that website at converlation.com. And that's a wrap on another episode of Behind the Print. Thanks to our listeners for joining us as we have explored the artistry and innovation of the printing world. Remember, have a strong vision, build the right strategy, and use tools like print to amplify your message and make your brand stand out from the crowd. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to get your sample pack today from printingcenterusa.com and share it with your fellow business enthusiasts. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying and remember, there's always more to discover behind the print.